Hello, hello, hello. My name is Jack Taylor, and you have reached Imagine Easter Part 23. Now, Pontius Pilate was the Roman governor under Emperor Tiberius in the first century. And Pilate was appointed the prefect of Judea, Samaria, and Idumea, 26 AD, just in time to deal with Jesus. Now, usually a prefect who was the supreme judge, the sole authority to order execution, usually they held that post for less than 3 years, but Pilate was there 10 years. He also managed tax collection and construction projects, which he could benefit from. Now, some historians say that Pilate used briberies, insults, robberies, outrage, injury, executions without trial, just to manipulate and control the population. The governor apparently permitted on one occasion 2 shields inscribed with Emperor Tiberius's name into Herod's former palace in Jerusalem. He's accused of even permitting troops to carry military standards with the emperor's likeness into Jerusalem, even though Jewish law forbade images in the city. A huge protest arose, and Pilate backed down. Now, another time, however, Pilate used funds from the temple treasury to build an aqueduct to Jerusalem. When the protesters arose, plainclothes soldiers infiltrated the crowd and they clubbed many of the protesters to death. And this bloody act hung around his neck as something which would come back to haunt his rule. Early in the morning, the Sanhedrin completes its mock trials of Jesus, and they turn Jesus over to Pilate at the Praetorium, which is the former palace of Herod, the place where Pilate is staying when he's in town away from his home at the coast in Caesarea. Now, the Jews don't want to defile themselves by touching Gentile property, or they couldn't eat the Passover. So Pilate has to come out, and he has his judgment seat carried out since the Jewish leaders are not wanting to come in. We have found this man subverting our nation, they say. He opposes payments of taxes to Caesar. He claims to be a Messiah, a king. Pilate interrogates Jesus, "Are you the king of the Jews?" Which is the accusation against him by Caiaphas. "Is that your own idea, or did others talk to you about me?" Jesus asked. "Am I a Jew?" Pilate asked. Your own people and chief priests handed you over to me. What is it you have done?" "My kingdom is not of this world. If it were, my servants would fight to prevent my arrest by the Jewish leaders. But now my kingdom is from another place," Jesus says. "You're a king then," said Pilate. Jesus answered, "You say that I'm a king. In fact, the reason I was born and came into the world is to testify to the truth. Everyone on the side of truth listens to me." "What is truth?" retorted Pilate. So Pilate returns to the Jews, "I find no basis for a charge against him." Now the accusations from the chief priests just avalanche down on Jesus, but Jesus doesn't respond. "I find no basis for a charge against this man," Pilate says. "He stirs up the people all over Judea by his teaching he started in Galilee. He's come all the way here." "Ah, Galilee." Pilate sends Jesus to Herod. He's squirming to get out of this. Herod's soldiers ridicule, they mock Jesus. And Herod and Pilate actually become friends, even though before this they had been enemies. So Pilate examines Jesus and he says, "I find no basis for a charge against him. Neither has Herod." "Don't you hear the accusations?" Pilate says to Jesus, but Jesus doesn't reply, and Pilate is amazed. Now, Pilate had set up a system to release a prisoner chosen by the crowd. So, knowing Jesus' popularity with the crowd and knowing the self-interest of the Jewish leaders, he presents Jesus, the Messiah, who we know as the Son of the Father, and Jesus Barabbas. Barabbas means the Son of the Father. "Choose one," Pilate says. "Choose Jesus, the Son of the Father, Messiah, or Jesus, the Son of the Father, criminal." Ingenious. Pilate is sitting on his judgment seat, and his wife sends him a message. "Don't have anything to do with that innocent man, for I have suffered a great deal today in a dream because of him." Well, the chief priests and the elders used that lag to rev up the crowd to ask for Barabbas. What shall I do then with Jesus, who is called the Messiah? Pilate asked. And they answer, crucify him. Well, Pilate tries to push back, but the crowd yells louder, crucify him. Pilate washes his hands in front of the crowd, says, okay, I'm innocent of this man's blood. And the people answer, his blood is on us and on our children. So Barabbas is released, and Jesus is flogged and handed over for execution. The soldiers gather around him, they strip him, they flog him, they put a scarlet robe on him, they put a crown of thorns on him, they put a staff in his hand, they kneel in mockery, they spit on him, then they take the staff and they hit him on the head with that staff over and over. And they bring him back to Pilate. Pilate brings Jesus out to the crowd. Pilate says, here is the man. And the chief priests and their officials shout, crucify, crucify. You take him and crucify him, Pilate says. As for me, I find no basis for a charge against him. And the Jews say, we have a law. According to that law, he must die because he claimed to be the Son of God. Now Pilate is terrified of that, and he goes back into the palace and he says to Jesus, where do you come from? But Jesus doesn't answer. Do you refuse to answer me? Pilate says. Don't you realize I have the power either to free you or to crucify you? And Jesus answered, you would have no power over me if it were not given to you from above. Therefore, the one who handed me over to you is guilty of a greater sin. So Pilate tries harder to release Jesus, but the Jews shout him down. You're no friend of Caesar if you let him go. Anyone who claims to be a king opposes Caesar. And Pilate starts caving. He sits on the judgment seat. Here is your king, he says one last time. Take him away, crucify him. Shall I crucify your king? Pilate asked. We have no king but Caesar, the chief priests say. Finally, Pilate hands Jesus over to be crucified. The dark side of imagining Easter leaves nothing more to be imagined. Come again tomorrow and we'll focus on the cross.